Carol Hanisch, in the very famous essay, titled Personal is Political. Personal is political. Okay. Now, meaning. Please write meaning. Private aspects of life. Private aspects of life. Private aspects of life. In bracket you can write personal or family relations. Private aspects of life are influenced by broader political and social structures. By broader political and social structures. Okay. Give some examples. Next, examples. Domestic violence laws. Domestic violence laws were historically seen as personal matter. Domestic violence laws were historically seen as personal matters. Comma, reproductive rights like abortion so reproductive rights like abortion, maternity benefits, etc. Okay, there are various examples. LGBTQ rights. See, in USA there is a lot of discussion on abortion, right? Pro-abortion, anti-abortion, etc. But historically, why was abortion banned in a lot of these states in USA? Because of church, because of the religion. That was the prime purpose. But then women claim that my body, my choice, my right, etc. And it's for the woman to decide. So now if somebody claims my choice and my right, then you have to bring in new counterpoints. You can't use religion. Then suddenly the people who wanted or who were not pro-choice, they said that, see, if it is your body, but then it also involves the fetus, the life of newborn, right? Because earlier it was simply religion. So the game was between religion versus any individual's choice. This is something based on belief. You can't force it on people. So they said, forget religion. It's a matter of life of a newborn or a fetus. So it's all a debate between these two. And that is why the original idea that was pushed forward was that, see, when you push us into having a baby, it might seem as a very personal choice, but it is not. It is based on the idea, ingrained on the idea that women are primarily what? Childbearing machine. Nothing more than that. Their role is confined to the family. You are pushing them to just run the family. This was the idea. And it again said, they said that this shows the very strong dynamic that women are meant to just run the family, not work outside. Right? This was their push. That you might say this is a very personal choice between a couple, but it is actually historically linked with a very political fact that you have to relegate women to personal household activities only, not bring them in jobs for whatever reasons. Okay, let's not get into the historical reason of why this was happening right now. Something as simple as privacy and surveillance in modern day and age, it's also a part here. Something that you claim as private, but are we completely free to do things privately if we are not affecting anybody else? What do you feel? You do something privately, but it's not affecting the society at all. Should that be allowed? Yes? How about you feel, or privately somebody watches child porn? Privately. Should that be allowed? I'm not saying pornography, I'm saying child porn. What do you feel? Of course not, right? Because if you're consuming content, this means somebody is manufacturing content. This means some rights are being violated of children. So maybe that's the point. Not everything that is done in private space can be allowed, because sometimes you'll have to understand the larger impact in society also, which might not be immediate, which might not be visible. Okay, so everything that is being done in personal space also is political. That's the idea. Yes, it is largely limited to feminist movement, but can also be used in other places as well, right? Just one last point below it, right? This idea extends to other domains as well. This idea extends to other domains as well. Full stop. Example: individual communication and privacy. Individual communication and privacy versus surveillance. Surveillance meaning keeping a check. Government performs this activity. A very famous movie on this was by Will Smith, Enemy of the State, a very popular movie. Have you seen this movie? Enemy of the State? No. Have you read this book by a very popular author? That book is called 1984. The author is George Orwell. No? Anyone? No? The first task should be, whenever you get free time, read 2 books. One, same author. The first book that you should read as soon as possible is Animal Farm. Very thin. Please read. It's a very unique kind of book, right? Animals talk to each other. Yeah, I understand. It sounds very silly. In fact, that was a sheer reason I did not read this book for so many years. That I just could not comprehend the idea that this book could give you anything substantial if animals are talking. But the way it is written, you realize how beautifully the analogy works. And 1984, that is a very, it's a book based on dystopian future, which you see right now. The concept of Big Brother, have you heard of Big Brother? USA. Big Brother is watching. So USA used to run a program called Global Surveillance Program. Okay. where they would track the world leaders, hack into their mobiles, webcams, etc. And that's when the term Big Brother is watching. Actually, this book 1984, written way back in the 50s, has mentioned all these things of how in future a time will come where even thinking against the government will become a crime. Thought crime, he called it. So every house will have installed machines which will keep a track of you, and if you think about against the government, crime. Enough of mystery. You can read this book. This as a proper story and structure also. Okay. So this was the idea of political is personal is political. Next heading, political thought. Political thought. What is thought? Forget political. You tell me firstly what is thought, and then we'll discuss political thought. Thought?
An opinion or an idea about
Opinion or an idea. Understanding of a concept. Wait. You chew your food slowly to make it mild for you to swallow. Same way. You think of an idea, think of a concept, let it brew in your mind. That's what is thought. When you think of political ideas, justice, liberty, you try to understand, comprehend these concepts. That is what is called political thought. Please write. Thought is a reflective. When you think over it. Reflective and reasoned understanding. Thought is a reflective and reasoned understanding of ideas and concepts. Full stop. It may be moral, comma, religious, social, or political. Okay. Next, political thought. Political thought is the reflective and critical understanding. Political thought is the reflective and critical understanding of ideas related to what? Power, comma, justice, all such unique things. Power, justice, liberty. Keep writing. Power, justice, liberty, authority, democracy, equality, etc. So of course it can incorporate some traditional ancient thought, modern thoughts, all things on these concepts, right? Next point, please write. Political thought is normative and descriptive. normative and descriptive. Now we get a word here, normative. It comes from the word norm. Norm means standard. Ideal situation. The norm is to wake up early in the morning, right? Normative, meaning what should be. What's the correct thing to do? Normative theory refers to what is the ideal situation. Then what is descriptive? Describing what is actually happening. Are they the same? May not be the same in most cases. We wish they were the same. What we set as standards should ideally reflect on the ground also, but they are not. Okay, so under normative, just mention what should be, and under descriptive, you can write like this: what is. What is. Okay. So normally you will find that a very good example, I would say, would be this book by Ambedkar, Annihilation of Caste. Have you heard of this book? Have you read the book? Of course not. Heard of it, right? Annihilation of caste, of course, refers to the idea that what should be the situation ideally and what exists in society currently, and it also talks about what can be the possible way ahead in future. Perfect book on political thought. It tells us what is the current situation, it tells us what is the ideal situation, what should it look like, and also how to move from this to this. Okay, a very good example of what we say is political thought. We can write below this example. Example, Ambedkar's annihilation. Annihilation means what? End. To finish something. Annihilation of caste. Okay, so a classic example of how this is a reflective discussion, understanding on caste operation, and how it also helps us understand the origin, root cause, etc., everything, and then it tells us what steps can be taken to eradicate it and maybe make a perfect utopian or ideal society. Not utopian, ideal society. Utopian has a very negative connotation nowadays because of Marxism. Okay, so this is the idea of political thought. Now see, what does political thought include? Right. It includes, number one, ancient to modern thinkers. It includes ancient to modern thinkers. Like when you say Plato dreaming about republic, or Gandhiji's discussion on self-sufficient villages, grassroots democracy, it's all included as political thought, right? In bracket right there, from Plato to Gandhi. From Plato to Gandhi. So it includes number one, number two, Western and Indian traditions. Western and Indian traditions. Aristotle versus Kautilya. Yes. Or Marx versus Manu. That's also there. The law code of, has anyone read here? Manu Smriti? No? Or you've read it?
I did not, but
Of course. Nobody can mug it up and all, but you have gone through it. Do you find that how the picture is portrayed, is Manu Smriti really that bad? What do you feel? I mean, there are a lot of, see, the real concern about such books is the extrapolation of meaning. So, of course, I'm not justifying what is meant. A lot of things in Manu Smriti or the law, I read the English version of it, Law Code of Manu. A lot of things might not resonate well, but if you look at the larger perspective, some things are okay, very logical. Of course, some things, think of the times also, deeply patriarchal. So, if you relate those in the current context, you might find it very silly and hilarious. But a lot of things do make sense a lot. Of course, it is not as amazing as, say, Arth Shastra, because that is a very practical book. Okay, like say Gita, for example, it's a very practical book, right? So maybe it has a very far-sightedness in its approach. That's a law code of Manu is primarily on the lives and times and what you should follow in your personal life in those times. Of course, there are some things that are different from what we follow right now. So in that sense, but yes, Marx versus Manu, or you can write in bracket there, Aristotle versus Kautilya. You know Kautilya, right? Comma, Marx versus Manu. Etc. So it includes, of course, the first one, the second one, and the third point. It includes debates on ideal state, comma, law, morality, revolution, etc. So that's also a part of what is political thought. That's why we say revolution is not just when you spin your chair, it dismantles the entire society. So it's a very big term to use. We use it in a very casual manner these days. Revolution happens anywhere and everywhere. No, it does not. It dismantles the very core crux on which society is based. So it's a very big word to use casually. Okay. Now write the next heading, nature of political science. Nature of political science. See, that's a very interesting idea to understand. Political science is, of course, normative in nature. Number one, normative. Remember normative now? Come from set standards, norms. The idea is what ought to be. So political science and its studies also tell us what ought to be. How should the government be formed? How should the state behave? What should sovereignty actually look like? I mean, you might claim that Japan is sovereign. It is sovereign. But look at the arm twisting done by USA to Japan every 2 years on everything. Of course, they are sovereign. They are a friendly country. And Article 19 tells us that we cannot make any comment on which might dismantle friendly relations with foreign states. We should not. But look at Japan's situation right now. Is this the way that a sovereign nation should behave? Of course not. And is this the way that USA should behave? Of course not. So the idea is that political science will discuss all these things. How should sovereignty look like? What should an ideal state do? What should liberty look like? When is justice actually done properly? Right? So yes, it is normative also. Please write. Normative. Don't give an arrow. You write like this. What ought to be. What ought to be. Okay. So a very good example would be good governance. What would a good governing structure look like? Maybe a debate on anti-corruption. Etc. So that's there. Normative. The number 2, descriptive. Descriptive. So when I say descriptive, I am referring to what is. Please write what is. Give a dash. Realities of institutions and practices. Realities of institutions and practices. Okay, the real workings of institutions, practice, power play, etc. That's what is descriptive. Example. Study of parliamentary functioning. Study of parliamentary. Okay, so these two we understand. Number 3. Empirical. What is empirical? What does it contain? Empirical. Based on data, based on observation. Empirical. Please give a dash and write. Based on data, comma, behavior and observations. Based on data, behavior and observations like surveys, voter turnout, comma, policy impact analysis, etc. Policy impact analysis, etc. A very good example is election data, right? So, it's psephology. A very simple idea is election data that you get. So, we can, once the elections are over and results are out, then everybody in the country is a psephologist immediately. They'll give us plenty of reasons as to why some party won, some party lost. But before the election, they can't predict with all data also, right? CSDS, they keep on giving data on how Jats are voting or how OBCs are voting. I don't know how they collect data. We don't know. They have not revealed any mechanism that they followed, we know of or we can think of, on how they are coming to know of this fact that a particular caste group votes in some direction, right? Because if you go on the field and ask 2 people, then your survey data is a very narrowed one. It might not reflect the will of the society. So we don't really know how they're collecting data, but yes, we do have these psephologists who are giving us a lot of information on voter behavior, and based on that they have had their careers also built. Okay, a very famous psephologist would be, yes, Prashant Kishore. That's how he built his career. Now he is going to fight elections also. But he was at one point of time referred to as a mercenary. Any party can hire him, he'll give you the right strategy, and then you can win the election. Ab ki baar Modi Sarkar, such slogans, or what is that? Nitish Kumar hai to Bahar hai, something of this sort. In Bihar and UP also, giving the
narrative fields, UP के लड़के अखिलेश यादव है।
हाँ, वो अब see आ रहे हैं अखिलेश and such slogans, they did not go down well because it felt, people said that आ रहे हैं Akhilesh is coming, sounded more like a dhamki, that oh wait, we are coming, because the follow up has to be nice. if a leader in an open rally says that once we come to power, we will not transfer any officer from here for the next 6 months, we will make them realize what they have done, and then you match this statement with the slogan, we are coming after you. That's what the feeling is, right? So it does backfire sometime, but he has had a lot of success with such statements and slogans, at least in UP, in Bihar, in West Bengal, at central government, of course, right? That's been there. Recently, he does have quite close association with Nitish Kumar, because recently also he said, he was asked that who would you prefer, the 8th pass. Why you say 9th fail? The candidate for the CM's post in Bihar, Lalu Prasad Yadav's son, Tejasvi, is actually 8th pass. 9th fail is not nice to say. So he was asked, who would you choose, Nitish Kumar or Tejasvi Yadav? He said, anytime. I think he used 100 times, or anytime I'll choose Nitish Kumar only. Of course, it's logical also. That at one side, if you have Tejasvi Yadav, which is brand of hooligans or riding on bullet nowadays, and then you have on the other side somebody who has lived, because see, right now also there is no narrative to break for Nitish Kumar, apart from his personal childish behavior sometimes that he does because of old age and all. Otherwise, there is no bigger issue, at least for RJD to claim. What will they claim when they come to power? Read all the horror stories of people who write memoirs now of 1990s times, where there's very interesting anecdote that once a very popular doctor, his car was stolen from somewhere, newly purchased car, okay, and he had gone to the CM's office to complain. Top elite doctor, he had approaches everywhere, and when he went to the CM's Bhavan, the CM's official residence, to complain that it's been one full day, I think it was some Audi or some costly car which he had purchased from outside the state. So he saw that same car parked in the CM's bungalow. CM's goons had stolen the car. So that's a true anecdote possibly. Or situations like, I think one more story that they were saying is about the marriage function of some son or daughter of Lalu Prasad Yadav, when all the top 10-15 car dealers, their showrooms were ransacked and they took brand new cars from the showrooms. In fact, all these, the furniture shops, they were ransacked to take chairs and sofa sets, and they were placed in the marriage halls, etc. All new cars. The shops were ransacked like this to celebrate the marriage of the CM's daughter. So of course, these are the time that people have seen, and that is why when the word Jungle Raj comes, it is very clear that was truly a nice Jungle Raj. Okay. So yeah, that's there. Anyway, coming back to this point, empirical is what we are discussing on. The idea being that we are collecting data through surveys. Right now, we do have survey reports saying that in Bihar, it's possibly going to happen that Nitish Kumar and BJP will win the election. RJD's chance looks very bleak. And I think Rahul Gandhi wants to play the spoil sport. He knows he can't win, so he's making sure that even Tejasvi Yadav loses. Because why would you ever call Stalin to Bihar? This makes no sense. Nobody in the right frame of mind would call the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister, who has made ample statements against people of UP and Bihar in a negative light. Why would you call that fellow? Right? You can call anybody else, but not that fellow. Makes no sense. So, but then Rahul Baba is Rahul Baba. I don't know what he thinks. Okay, even before the VP elections, I think that was a hydrogen bomb. You know the hydrogen bomb that he was talking about? After the atom bomb was dropped, that voter issue. So he had said recently that now I'm going to drop the hydrogen bomb. Maybe the hydrogen bomb was going to be how in VP elections, Congress will have way more votes and possibly defeat of the BJP candidate.
Sir, actually, there are speculations that the next hydrogen bomb will be Varanasi, like
that voter turnout Varanasi.
constituency, they are going to
Huh.
put out their
That was only after this flopped. So now they're saying that maybe that is a hydrogen bomb. Initially, this was a discussion that possibly we might find that NDA's candidate will lose the election. Okay. And even till last day, because a lot of BJP did, it was not panic. That is how BJP functions. They take things seriously, everything seriously. So even a day before, they were organizing these dinners and dinner party, etc., where the PM and big leaders were meeting all the BJP members and the coalition members to ensure that voting happens in the same direction. Whereas Rahul Gandhi ji went to the Constitution Club and just gave a simple statement that vote from your conscience. They voted from their conscience for the BJP's candidate. Now we don't know who voted for it, for the BJP candidate, but at least 15 people did vote, right? So yeah, then that idea failed. So now we have a new concern going on that possibly Narendra Modi's victory in Banaras has been because of manipulated voter base, which is very unlikely, right? Even if voter ID cards and there are some faults definitely in Epic, but I don't think his victory is based on this. That is not possible. He has a very big fan following, so he would win anyway. But see, you have to try something, right? That fellow has nothing to offer right now, so he's trying all these things. Throw hundreds of sticks, something will stick, right? Something has to stick. I think the only concern he has is he wants Assam badly, for two reasons. One is, of course, that that's the area where his vote bank might come through, and second is he's very angry at Hemant Biswa Sarma, right? So that is, I think, one major reason. He wants to win Assam at any cost and send people to prison. That's there. Anyway. So number 3 is empirical. 4th is interdisciplinary. Interdisciplinary. When I say interdisciplinary, I mean to say that overlap of various disciplines, like say history, sociology, right? Even philosophy and political science. Just give a dash and write interdisciplinary. Draws from economics, comma sociology, comma history, laws, etc. Not laws, law, just cut the S, law as a subject, law, etc. Example, impact of GST and demonetization. Example, impact of GST or demonetization. Impact of GST or demonetization. Now, what do I mean to say? Economic angle, the sociological angle of how it impacts the informal sector. Yes? Yes or no? The legal angle of constitutional validity, etc. So you see, we have to incorporate various disciplines, various dimensions. In fact, you can also add history, comparison of past performance, past similar schemes, tax schemes, etc. Past such steps being taken. They all get incorporated, right? And then we can derive observations and act accordingly. So this is what we refer to as the interdisciplinary nature of political science, which is very important, which also becomes our next subheading. Just below this, please write. This has a small heading. Interdisciplinary nature of political science. Interdisciplinary disciplinary nature of political science. What are we referring to here? Maybe think of something as simple as philosophy. When you discuss on the ideas of justice, which also can be seen through a very simple concept called affirmative action. You know what is affirmative action? Reservation policies, right? So when you understand the normative concepts of liberty, normative, the standard idea of what justice should look like, what equality should look like, what liberty should look like, and then it translates into affirmative action. Part of political science comes from philosophy, right? Philosophy dash normative, standard ideas, perfect ideas, ideal situations of equality, justice, etc. And then it translates into what? Discussions on affirmative action. For those who don't know, it simply means reservation, quota. Affirmative action, reservation, quota. Okay. A bit more sociology. Sociology. Class, right here. Class, caste, identity, etc. And here it can reflect in analysis of voter behavior in any state, in UP maybe. You analyze based on this which group primarily tends to vote for which community or group, what combinations are possible in politics, because you have to understand the underlying sociological aspect also of it. Okay, that what kind of combination is possible to make a viable vote bank, right? So sometimes very unique combinations also happen, like Mayawati had a combination of Dalits and Brahmins, which is quite unique, because if you think of it, historically the Brahmins were blamed for any atrocity committed on Dalits, but that's what she followed. Akhilesh Yadav followed the MY combination, Muslims and Yadavs. In fact, the same thing is done by Tejasvi also in Bihar, MY. But there is a small problem. The problem is that Congress also banks on the same Muslim factor, right? So if you share the seats, see how things take place. If you share the seats between Congress and say RJD and give some seats to Congress, and Congress fields their candidate, then the Yadav votes will not go to Congress. Yadav votes will naturally go to BJP, because Yadav votes will first primarily go to which party? RJD, Lalu's party. Second choice is actually BJP. That's a sociological alignment of Yadavs. Problem. Right? So that is why you have to understand. When you have such groupings, if you don't thoroughly understand the sociological perspective of the grouping, then it is deemed to, it will fall flat sometime. I'll tell you a simple example. In UP there are two very major parties, or we should say they were, BSP and Samajwadi Party. Now they joined hands together. The problem is that Yadavs and SCs have historically been opposed to each other. There is a concept called Sanskritization in sociology. OBCs actually are very strict practitioners of untouchability, way more than sometimes other forward castes. Because the idea is, now I have resources and money. I want to elevate my social status. What do? I emulate the practices of Brahmins. So I'll be an even more rigorous practitioner of all those evil ideas, whatever, if there were any. Okay, think of it like this. The amount of reverence and respect an Indian Muslim shows to the holy book, it's not the same as Saudi people. They don't care much. But as an Indian Muslim, you have to prove to the world also. It's important. Same thing happens here. So they were not naturally aligned to each other, sociologically. But the top leaders have joined hands. But people have not. They are opposed to each other. Not a single vote of Yadavs went to BSP candidate, or vice versa. And look at the thrashing and drubbing that they got together. Right? So these are basic concerns that happen. That is why these alliances don't work for long. And when you want to have an alliance, you should have an alliance based on one factor, which is a sociological factor also. Historically, if two parties have been together, then it works better. I mean, when I say parties, their vote bank has been together. Because every party has a particular vote bank. The vote bank should be aligned together. Only then can things function. Okay. Like a big failure for one party, PDP, in Jammu and Kashmir. How could you think of joining hands with BJP? You know, before the 2019 fiasco of Jammu and Kashmir. So they formed a government together. Historically, your vote bank is different. People of Jammu, Hindu people of Jammu versus the Muslim supporters of PDP. They were constantly in fight. How can you join hands? It was lost for PDP only, not for BJP. And you can see the result recently when the elections happened in Jammu and Kashmir. Mehbooba Mufti's loss, and she might not come to power soon because she joined hand with BJP, and because of that came president's rule. Because of that, we got the opportunity to abrogate the power of Article 370. So who is to be blamed? PDP. Simple. So JNK people are blaming her only. Anyway, so we now know that we have to understand the sociological perspective also, the dynamics in politics. So number 3, third one, please write. Economics. Economics, things like policies, welfare, policies, welfare, etc. And a simple example would be assessment of GST. Assessment of GST. Or impact of demonetization. Impact of demonetization. History. History. So here you can give dash and right. Context. See, think of it. We have federalism right now, but the growth started way back in 1910 and 20 only. 1909, 1919, all these Government of India acts that if you have studied, you'd come to realize slowly and steadily we're shifting towards a system where we needed to also give or share some power, distribution or division of power. And the Government of India Act 1935 talked about the idea of federalism and then the diversity in the country, and that is why the result was we had federalism. In fact, the focus on federalism cannot be seen in today's light. It should be seen in the historical perspective of how it has grown right from the British times of Government of India Acts, including the very famous 1935 Act, to the partition period where all the formerly princely states and governors provinces, they joined hands. So integration of India, integration of such a diverse group of people. Yesterday we referred to India as the what? Multinational state. So you know what is federalism, right? Sharing of power between center and states. Any form of government which is characterized by two levels, central or state. So when the states clamor and claim for more power right now, it has a historical source in it. They have been fed with all this information that it is rightfully their own authority and power. You have to devolve, you have to decentralize authority and power. Okay? So historical concept under political science. Also something as simple as UCC, Uniform Civil Code. When we have discussions and debates right now, the context cannot be current. The debates have been happening since 1940s. That is why, because of confusion on whether we should have a common personal law or not, we kept it in DPSP. That's the only reason. Because at that point of time, Ambedkar was very stern and strict on this. He said that no, we need to have a uniform civil code. Okay, no, Ambedkar had some very revolutionary ideas also. Actually, Ambedkar was the one who talked about population exchange. Okay, complete population exchange is what he referred to. That if you are creating a separate country based on religion, then all people of the religion should go to that country only. It is Nehru's idea, no, we are not based on religion. So we cannot say or tell people that because you follow some religion, please leave the country. That's not possible. So that's there. So Ambedkar believed that we have to have UCC, common law in personal matters. But Nehru felt that no, right now we are witnessing the horrors of partition. We can't make such statements. If we try to create, or if the state is seen as creating common laws on personal matters or religious matters, then minorities might feel threatened. That see what is happening here. If you are left behind, then the government will interfere and control your gods also. So when you see the debates happening, it has a historical perspective. That these debates, we can't just implement UCC right now, or we cannot discuss it with a fresh perspective, because there is a historical discussion going on this topic for the past 70-80 years on what is to be done, what's the right step. And that is why the safest place is throw something in DPSP. Nobody cares. If it happens, some UPSC aspirant with answer will write great things, done. If it does not happen, no problem. If you look at DPSPs, it contains all these high fund ideals only, right? Public health has to be improved. Okay.
Prohibition of intoxication.
Prohibition of liquor, or full enjoyment of leisure period. There's a very interesting phrase under Article 43, full enjoyment of leisure period by people in India. How do we ensure that? It talks about living wage to people, public assistance to people, unemployment allowance to people. All this is not possible. So throw it in DPSP. No problem, right? Anyway, so write history, give a dash, right? Contexts of institutions and ideologies. Context of institutions and ideologies. Give a dash and write debates on UCC, comma, federalism, etc. Debates on UCC, Uniform Civil Code, federalism, etc. Trace, trace their roots to trace their roots to pre-independent India. Trace their roots to pre-independent India. Pre-independent India. And the last one, number 5, you can mention that also, law, the field of law. You can write, give a dash, constitutional framework. Constitutional framework, comma, rights, comma, judiciary. And how is it visible? Examples would be landmark judgments. Landmark judgments on things like, say, privacy. Then issues like women empowerment. Women empowerment, etc. Clear? So various aspects. It covers a very large range of topics. That is why if you see the discussions under political science, the section B also talks about history, modern India. By the way, I did not ask, I should have asked this question earlier. What all topics have you covered in GS? How many of you have not studied polity so far? I mean, not from me, from anyone. Not studied polity so far. You also? No, you also. Others have studied polity and history? How many of you have not studied history so far? Modern India? Oh, not studied. Others have studied. Okay, so for some of you, polity words might be difficult. No problem. We'll keep that in mind. Okay. So, anyway, nothing much will happen, don't worry. In fact, once you study polity, you will find things slightly easier to understand. So now next, right, what does political science heading? What does political science study? What does political science study? What does political science study? Please write below this. Political science, PS, political science is a comprehensive discipline. Political science is a comprehensive discipline that studies various dimensions. That studies various dimensions of political life, comma, institutions, comma, power, rights, ideologies, and international relations. And international relations. First up, political life. So I'll just break down, underline these words: political life, then institutions, powers, rights, ideologies, IR, international relations. So now below that, example, just what is the first word? Political life. Idea of state, idea of sovereignty, political life. Okay. Then institutions, meaning government, bureaucracy. Institutions, government, bureaucracy. Please write the correct spelling of bureaucracy. You have to become bureaucrat, so first thing is we should know the spelling of bureaucrat. Though it is not a mandate, you can still become bureaucrat. What else? Power. Right, third one, power. Right, power and authority. Power and authority, under which we discuss things like legitimacy, right? Coercion, forcing somebody versus consent, etc. Then we had the next word. What is it? Rights. Right, like this, rights and justice. This is power and authority. Rights and justice. So we do cover things like fundamental rights. Fundamental rights are primarily guaranteed by the Constitution, or even something as simple as principles of natural justice. Okay, what is the meaning of principles of natural justice? Man by nature is what? What laws? Tell me.
Right to life.
Right to life is a natural right. Okay, fair enough. But that's again too generic. Some more specific things. See, the focus is on justice. When I say natural justice, I am referring to fairness. Don't get confused by. Are you saying this or this? You're defining this, right? So, principles of natural justice refers to the idea of fairness. Okay? There are three principles. We all should know this. Haji, first principle, sir.
I think rule of law is wrong.
You think? Okay, Haji, sir. First principle.
One cannot be judge can,
Your own words, sir. No problem. The idea.
One cannot be a judge in his own case.
Okay, fair enough. No person can be judged in their own case. Right against bias. Okay, that's the first principle. Nema causa in judex sua. You will not be a judge in your own case. That is why the judge has to be independent. Okay, from the parties involved. Only then can justice be done. Imagine if you are the police officer and you become an IPS officer and you catch at night a car coming full of all drunkards driving, and all of them are your friends. And what do? You won't be the right authority to look into that matter. You might not punish them. Problem, right? So fairness, as we say, justice should be done. It should also be seen to have been done. So the principles of natural justice, for those who do not know, has three principles. Number one is right against bias. Number two is audi alteram partem, which means hearing both the sides. You have to hear both the sides. We say right to fair hearing. In our schools, the teacher would not hear us. Okay, if the topper of the class or front bencher complains, Teacher comes and starts beating the backbencher without even understanding what went wrong, what was the issue. It is all violation of natural justice. Okay? When you give a judgment, you pronounce a judgment or verdict, you have to give both sides an opportunity to explain their point of view. Sadly, life does not function like this. But that's what the court should do. And third one, reasons for verdicts or judgments. This is a more newly incorporated idea. Reasons for judgment. Right against bias, right to fair hearing, reasons for judgment. Whenever any verdict is pronounced, reason must be given as to why this judgment is being given. If I am claiming today that okay, women should be allowed entry in Sabrimala, IAS Supreme Court 5-judge bench has to give reasons why. If I claim that okay, please you're allowed to build a Ram temple in Ayodhya, I have to give reasons based on what I have come to this verdict. Without reasons, judgments are cancelled. Are you clear? Important, right? Giving reasons. So yes, rights and justice, things like fundamental rights, principles of natural justice, etc. A very good example. Then what else? Next word is what? Please write that. Political ideologies. Political ideologies. Political ideologies. Give a dash and write. Major ideologies like Marxism, feminism, liberalism, etc. and their relevance, liberalism, etc. and their relevance to contemporary politics. Okay. Then next is what? Institutions. Okay, we have covered it in political life and institutions we have mentioned here. Next is IR or global politics. Global politics. International relations. Here you can mention international organizations, diplomacy, international organizations, diplomacy, war and peace, etc. Okay. So a very simple thing would be India's bid for UNSC. You know UNSC, United Nations Security Council, 5 permanent members, P5. Those buggers are not letting anybody inside. Okay, and we want a seat there. We have various groups, G4, T4, L4, whatever you call it. We form various groups and we say, please allow me entry. Russia says yes, China says no. China says yes, USA says no. Somebody will always say no, right? That's again a part and parcel of this is the understanding that they don't want to share power. As simple as that. The root cause is political science understands this context also on how things take place, why diplomacy, as we say in IR, there is no permanent friend or foe. Recently, one of our ministers made the same statement publicly in respect of China, that in international relations, there is no permanent enemy or permanent friend. which was shown through how we became friends of China suddenly, right? Memes of Indian PM and Chinese premier together, mockery of US president. Just 4 months back, we were performing Havans for the victory of Trump. Please go and check on YouTube. You will find a lot of these places in the country where Havans are being performed for victory of Trump. Now they are performing some occult puja, tantric puja to kill Trump. A doll is made and they are poking needles every day. So that's how it is. Of course, just one clarification is that China can never be India's friend. That is not possible, right? At best, it's a very temporary situation right now till this bugger is there. When Trump is gone, of course, India will be always in a better term with USA compared to China, because our interests align. And with China, we have everlasting conflict that can only be resolved if some party gives up. Will China give up their claim? If they are willing to, great. But we won't give up our claim. So they also won't give up their claim. So if nobody wants to lose, then there is no solution, no middle ground, right? Like India and Pakistan they have no middle ground, frankly. Somebody has to accept the loss. So far it's been Pakistan only, but somebody has to accept the loss. That's how it is. But yes, very rightfully said that in IR there is no permanent friend or permanent enemy. Times will decide what you have to do. Like in life also, no permanent enemy or friend. Okay. I think there was a very interestingly depicted in this movie. There is a movie called Prem. I don't know what is a Telugu version of it. I think Naga Chaitanya was the actor here. Premam only, the same name. Oh, I think instead of Sai Pallavi there was Shruti Hassan. Okay, same movie, right? So in the college these two gangs were fighting, but in the third scene of his life they became friends and all, right? That's how life is. And especially in your school and college days, you will create gangs to fight, but later on you realize in life that it was meaningless and stupid. But at that point of time it feels very important. And those are also good memories. All of you I'm sure have memories of either fighting or getting beaten, etc. Right? Those are memories for life, don't worry. Nothing wrong in that. So that's there. Now my next question and the next heading is political science a science? Why are we using this word science? Normally people start with this question only in any PSIR class. Why do we call it science? I mean, why can it not be science? Is my question firstly, which is very apparent, but you tell me. Why do we even have to ask this question? Why can political science not be called science? Why? Why? The political science studies human behavior, right? Human behavior. It studies societal interactions. Are they permanent in nature? Can you predict human behavior? Science is based on predictions. That after certain conduct of experiments based on variables and data, the result remains the same. Consistency of result is important. But here it is not possible. Okay. So sometimes your high and nice DP works. Sometimes it does not work. You get blocked. I mean, in most cases you get blocked only. But sometimes it works. You don't know when you send any message to anybody what kind of mental state they are in. If somebody is in a mental state of destroying themselves right now, they'll say yes to you, okay. This person say yes, let's get into a relationship right now. Let me suffer. Right? That's a one stand-up comedian mentioned this as an advice. That in love, keep on trying. Not the same, don't harass the same person. Different people. Keep on trying in life. Because you never know when you will succeed. Because at some point of time, everybody's life is completely bad. And they had that weak moment that, forget it, I'll say yes to anyone. And you are a lucky person. That's how it is. So my point is, human behavior is not predictable at all. So I am focusing on the core idea of science, natural sciences, which is based on repetitions and iterations and the same result. But here it might be different. You build a temple for the people and people vote against you. Ayodhya. Now this time we know very well that people are upset, they might not vote for Samajwadi Party, but that time it happened. Okay. So that's the whole idea. And that's the major reason why people tend to not call it science. Though of course we do have very strong reasons to call it political science also. So please write. The heading is political science what? A science. Is political science a science? Question mark. That is your heading. Please write. This has been a long-standing debate. This has been a long-standing debate and complexity arises due to the subject matter. Due to the subject matter, which is human behavior, and societal interactions. Which differ fundamentally from natural sciences. Clear? And then first subheading, arguments against, meaning not science. First point, no fixed laws. How can we have fixed laws? No fixed laws. Why? Because human behavior is what? Is unpredictable. Because human behavior is unpredictable. Why? Because human behavior is influenced by emotions, by culture, by your group, religion, etc. So we can't predict with accuracy human behavior. So all the books that we have, psychology books, etc. Of course, to a large extent they can, but no. Even they cannot accurately predict human behavior. That's there. Okay. And in fact, that is why if you look into any psychological study, etc., the focus is always on you. That you can control and regulate your own behavior. You can't regulate somebody else's behavior. That is why they focus on don't react. Why? Because the choice of reaction is yours. If you don't react to situations, then things are calm. Because you don't know what somebody else will do and there is no way to regulate their behavior. And if we don't have a consistent pattern of response, then we can't have laws based on that. And if you don't have laws and people say, no, it's not actually science, right? It keeps on changing. It has high variable rate. Then, second one, number 2. Value driven, or let's say value laden or value driven. It's value driven. Okay, why do I say it's value driven? Because see, political science, it can't be neutral. Can't be neutral, please write. Because it is based on ethical and normative dimensions. Ethical and normative dimensions. In bracket, right? Justice, freedom, etc. So in political sciences, there are some things which are right and some things which are wrong. So there is a value system behind it. Say stealing is wrong, right? Consent is right. Hundreds of such things are there. Science doesn't bother about all these things. We say facts don't care about feelings. But here feelings are important. Choice is important. So when something is so value driven, how can we call it science? Which is completely neutral to emotions. Clear? One more point. Complex variables. Variables are very complicated. Please write. Unlike physics, which isolates variables, comma, political phenomena are multidimensional and spelling on board, intertwined, interconnected with each other. Intertwined. You can't assume M1 to be 0, right? But in physics you can assume things to be 0 to find out a perfect formula and proceed along the lines. Here you can't assume things to be 0. If you hit somebody, you can't assume there will be no response, I'll be safe. No, you can't guarantee that. Okay, so there are a lot of variables and most variables are beyond our comprehension. We can't assume them to be absent. That's a concern. Okay. One more reason is context specific. Context specific. Is it context specific? Interpretations, don't they change with time? Change with culture? 500 years ago, marrying at the age of 12, was it wrong? It was too late, right? At 18, nobody will marry you now. But today at 18 again, nobody will marry you right now. Same thing, but different context. So see, the problem here is that political science is very context driven. It depends on historical perspective, it depends on the area, geography, it depends on, culture, time, etc. But laws of gravitation were the same for Newton also and today also. They don't vary. It is not that the acceleration towards Earth changed from 9.8 to something else now. It's still the same. It will possibly be the same till Earth exists. But we can't say the same for political science, right? What was right 30 years ago is unthinkable right now. A very good example is inter-religious marriages, forget marriages, live-in relationships. Unthinkable, right? 50 years ago, But now governments are saying that if you are in a living relationship, please register with us. Uttarakhand, UCC. So they're also saying, wait, it is a part and parcel of life. But 50 years ago, it was unthinkable. It was a crime. Honor killing directly. But now things are okay. Honor killings have reduced to maybe 5% or 1%. We don't know the data, but that's there. Even in your city, look at the context. Look at this area. And you go to high-tech city and all. Things in life is different. Completely. Right? So, because I'll be staying for a longer period this time, so I need to also get a place. Food could be a concern. Eating in a hotel on a daily basis is not healthy. And that's the first problem I am facing right now. Nearby areas, people are not willing to give their flat out on rent because bachelor issues. I said, I am not that 20-year-old bachelor. Come on. I mean, I am a teacher. What do you think I'll do? But still, but in high-tech city area, it's all quite chilled out. But I can't live there because the traveling part will be half the day traveling. So I realized suddenly that, oh, okay, in a single city, things are so different. In fact, one place I had gone, they said, oh, you're not a Reddy, sorry. So I was like, oh, okay. That's true. So that also happened. So I think somebody from the office, actually they claimed that they are Reddy and they went there to see the flat and all. But of course I could not talk in Telugu, so that was the first giveaway that I'm not a Reddy. But anyway, so please write dash interpretations change with time and culture. Interpretations change with time and culture, making political knowledge often temporary. Making political knowledge often temporary. Okay, great. These are all reasons. We know these reasons. You would give me arguments in favor. Enough of this. Arguments in favor. Tell me. Any argument in favor? Okay. That empirical study means it relies on data, right? Statistics, surveys, seems like science, partially. What else? One thing is fair. What else? I just discussed on how, psychology works by telling us on focusing on ourselves. But we also have so many tests that we take to assess our personality, right? Narcissism, ACE, ADHD, OCD, cluster B type personality. This means there are theories. Yesterday we saw a theory called critical theory. So sometimes here also we have the concept that we can build on some theories based on some data and lot of repetitions of a similar nature, not exact nature, similar nature. Like say somebody who is a narcissist, highly self-centered, it might vary depending on what kind of narcissist you are, what is your source, etc. So it might exhibit in different fashion, but ultimately the core remains the same and largely your behavior towards society remains the same. For a narcissist, you know what is who's a narcissist? Somebody who is highly self-centered, who cannot understand beyond his self. Okay, everybody is self-centered to a certain extent, but for narcissists it's very clear and apparent. Like say somebody is dying, you don't really care, you take money from their pocket. Oh great, party today. Now most people won't do it actually. That's the reality. Most won't do it. Even if you with your friends will crack a joke and say I'll do it, you won't do it if it happens to you, especially if you're alone. A narcissist will not worry about all these things. He'll do it. They don't have self-awareness sometimes of their action, that I am this bad a human being. Their goal, their achievements, their happiness is of prime importance to them. So largely the output remains the same, but maybe in certain aspects somebody could be a more fierce, self-centered person. In some other aspect somebody could show different kind of characteristics, etc. But yes, broadly we can create theories here also, right? And that's why we create theories like these and cluster people, that you could be a left-leaning person, right-leaning person, Marxist, feminist, etc. So yes, in that sense we do have a concept of science that we can create theories here. Okay, what else? Experiments, so empirical data, experiments. We can conduct experiments. In fact, we also have a systematic study of things. Okay. Let's start writing with the first point so that we keep on knowing what has been discussed already. Number 1. Empirical methods. Are used surveys, data, etc. Empirical methods are used, surveys, data, etc. Okay, second point, theory and models. Theory and models. Theory and models. Give a dash and write. It builds theories and models. It builds theories and models to explain and predict. To explain and predict political phenomena. To explain and predict political phenomena. Okay, then write the third one, systematic study. Systematic study. So here we follow a very systematic study which is very close to what natural sciences perform. Okay, please write, give a dash and write. Follows structured methods. Follows structured methods like science or like sciences. Like sciences, using patterns to understand politics. To understand politics. And to a certain extent, the fourth point, predictability. I am not saying laws, no, but predictability to a certain extent, right? You can give a dash here and just a clarification we'll write. Although not exact laws, please write, although not exact laws, comma, it identifies causal relations. It identifies causal relations. What is a causal relation? Cause and effect relationship. Just mention there in bracket. right? Cause and effect. Cause dash and dash effect. Connection, cause and effect connection, where change in one variable directly, where change in one variable directly produces, where change in one variable directly produces change in another variable. Close the bracket. I'll explain this point. So the point which we're writing was what? Although not exact laws, it identifies causal relations which are similar to, continue now, after the bracket closed, continue, which are similar to scientific inquiry, which are similar to scientific inquiry. Okay? For example, now that cause effect relationship, just to explain this, a very tough day at work for your father means what? Less TV time for you that day. Yes or no? Because he comes home angry and upset, and the first thing you do when father is home is switch off the TV and sit and do something productive. That's consistent across every family in India, right? So here there is no south, north, east, west divide, no Hindu-Muslim problem. Here it is consistent. Fathers are very predictable in their behavior. Okay, they want their kids to be doing something productive all the time. When they come home, the TV should be off. You should be sitting with the books open, whether you're studying or not. It is of no relevance, right? So that's how it is. So his bad mood means thrashing is round the corner for you. Maybe a matter of 2 days, 3 days, right? Or maybe if you have siblings, one sibling is thrashed, you will also be thrashed in near future. Cause effect. Change in some variable has a direct impact on some other variable. Like I gave you example, the moment Yadavs in Bihar realize that from a particular seat, my constituency, I don't have an RJD candidate, my vote directly will go to BJP, right? Any change in variable has a direct impact somewhere else. One bomb dropped in Pakistan, more votes for BJP immediately, right? Or one statement against North Indians and Hindi speakers, 5 votes immediately for DMK. That's the idea. Sanatan is a, what did Stalin's son say? Sanatan is a dengue, malaria, COVID. It has to be eradicated. 100 votes more immediately, right? Though Tamil Nadu is a land of temples and all. That's very surprising. And then they'll have all these crude jokes on Shaivites and Vaishnavites, etc. Those are way beyond discussion in a decent environment. All comes from PSIR. PSIR has said all these things. If you get a chance to read and you are a believer in religion, don't read him first. You'll be very upset. Because of, not because he was right, because of the allegations he levels at people who believe in religion. I mean, temples, etc. He has raised questions on why people go to temples. Right? In fact, there are writings where he mentions that people go to temples just to feel women, inappropriately touch women. PSIR's words, not mine. So, of course, the learning stems from there. So these problems will happen, that they will not let anybody follow religion properly. And what do they have to offer? Nothing in return. Lal salam. Comrade, That's what they offer. Okay. But one good thing about communists is that they are a very strong group. If I have to, maybe save my life at some point of time, I will be a communist only, because communists will come and help you out, other than other people who will not help you out. That's the harsh reality. If you are once a comrade, trust me, the comrade group everywhere will help you out, whether you are right or wrong. Other parties don't have this kind of strength. BJP workers are dying in West Bengal, nobody cares about them. Congress workers getting slapped here and there, nobody cares. You hit any CPI worker anywhere in the country, Chinese people will come here to defend them. That's how strong the bond is, right? Anyway. So yes, so the idea is that, we call political science as science with a soul, emotional statement. Because we have to understand that yes, it is not truly and perfectly a science, but there are elements of science, and hence we call it science with a soul. Just change the paragraph and write, it is science with a soul. It is science with a soul as it integrates both scientific and humanistic approach. Both scientific and humanistic approaches. Both scientific and humanistic approaches. Full stop, continue. It studies people. It studies people, power and principles. It studies people, power and principles, blending data-driven analysis. Blending data-driven analysis with philosophical inquiry. Full stop. And one last point, continue. It thrives on understanding. It thrives on understanding both, and write like this, both, in quotes, what is and what ought to be. Okay, so natural sciences focus on what is. What should be, we don't care. If I see something happening consistently, that's a reality. What should be, we don't really care. So this is the idea, that possibly we can call it what? Science with a soul is best what we can call. There is a very interesting line by Plato. Please mention this statement just below it. The price of apathy towards public affairs. The price of apathy, APATHY, towards public affairs is to be ruled by evil men. The price of apathy towards public affairs is to be ruled by evil men. Plato. What do you mean by this? Very simple statement. What is apathy? Disinterest. Apathy means no interest. Like we say, there is a concept called voter apathy. What is the voter turnout in our country? Any idea? Rough percentage?
60 to 60.
Okay. So it is under 70% at any cost. Right? 67, 66% is what it hovers around. Then I am referring to almost 33% people who are not voting despite being eligible voters. Why? There could be multiple reasons, of course. Like say some of you can claim that, sir, student, right, working somewhere, I can't go back and vote, it's costly. Fair enough. Small percentage. What's the major reason? Voter apathy. No interest in voting. That's the primary reason. They don't hate voting, they just have no interest in voting. ठीक है, voting is a phenomenon, it happens every 5 years, why to waste my time? Apathy. So now read the statement again. Tell me. What is the meaning of this statement? What does it convey? Price of apathy is the what? What is the cost of it? That we will ultimately be ruled by evil people. So this means that we as people also need to interact with political affairs, have a humanistic approach, understand, hold institutions accountable, hold them responsible. We should have an understanding of the normative aspect of what should be and interact with every particular political institution to ensure that they perform tasks properly. Because if we don't care, then people who don't care about the country might come to power and then we will suffer. So our disinterest, that's why we say we should go and vote. Because if we vote, only then can we tell the political parties not to give ticket to a certain category of person. If I don't go and vote and a certain person keeps on winning, then the party also has no clue, right, that we hate the person. I have to tell the party through voting that if I go and press the nota button consistently, because all the candidates of my area have some pending heinous criminal case against them, then parties might feel that, see, if we are giving tickets to these people, the voters are not voting for anyone. Let me try for a change to give ticket to somebody who has a clean image. And when somebody with a clean image is given a ticket by one party and people rush to vote for him, other parties follow the suit, right? And then you have improved politics. Simple. So the change, as Gandhi said, starts from us and within. That's how it is. Okay. So this is the idea of apathy, which can be very harmful to the country. Okay. Next, please write now. Next heading, what is political theory? Political theory. So standard definition first. It is the study of ideas, concepts and principles. It is the study of ideas, concepts and principles that help us understand and evaluate politics. That help us understand and evaluate politics. Okay? Clear on this point? Second line, it examines fundamental questions. It examines fundamental questions about governance, power, justice, rights, liberty, and role of the state. And role of the state. Okay. Next, right? Two major approaches. Two major approaches to political theory. Two major approaches to political theory. Now we are slowly moving in the direction of direct exam questions, okay, about political theory. So far what we have seen is all fodder material. See, the problem with political science as a subject is that it seems very simple to understand, right? Well, yeah, it's okay, we see all this happening a lot. And that becomes a real challenge in the examination, because you have to not just know it, but accurately write the answer. So it requires a lot of mugging up of exact statements, definitions. They have to be mentioned clearly. To give you a simple example, let's say I draw a circle and I tell you, please locate the center. You might say, sir, center is somewhere here, no problem. No, I am saying be precise and exact. All of you know that the center lies somewhere in the middle. But for exactness, how do you locate the center of a circle? By any idea? Exact center. Maths, 9, 10. By compass. How will you locate by compass here? No, you will draw it, but it's already drawn.
Diameter by
How do you find a diameter?
equal the maximum distance is the diameter.
No, that I know, but how do you find diameter? By measuring it roughly. That's again a rough measurement, right? I want an exact, precise point of center. You have a circle drawn for you. Please tell me the center.
Equal distance from all the points.
How do you find that? With scale, but that is again very generic measurement. It's not exact and precise. There are exact ways to find it.
Drawing multiple lines in the circle to make a point.
Equidistance.
This.
Symmetrical.
How these are all symmetrical only. No, they are very. I'll give it two simple ways. Very simple. You know what is a chord?
Yes.
Draw two chords anywhere. And we can draw perpendicular bisector. We know very well that the perpendicular bisector of any chord passes through center. Both these chords have a perpendicular bisector. It passes through center. Exact point. Or maybe draw a tangent. Again, 90-degree point passes through center. Draw one more tangent. That same point passes through center. This is the difference here. Forget this, right? The point here is that in the exam, you have to perform this task of being exact and precise. Measuring by scale won't work, because all that you have seen so far is something that you knew. I'm just giving you those technical terms for it. And this is what is the difference. Writing these is what is going to matter. So please don't feel that, oh, these are very generic, I know it. No, that is why I said 3-4 times and mug up all this. So in optionals, it is required for you to replicate exact and accurate statements. It is not a GS paper, right? So yes, it will require the effort of mugging up more than say a GS paper, because replicating exact statements will be of more value than just writing something of your understanding. Of course, we have to explain things, but at least it should have a standard definition. It should have those 5 features, 4 features, keywords, the meaning of keywords, etc. So that is why we say in-depth understanding. That when I write a statement, I know each and every word has a specific meaning. It has 5 different examples, etc. Clear? So notes, revising it, mugging up, etc. In short. Okay. Yes, so now we are entering the domain of where you will get questions from, political theory. Please write. The 2 approaches. Oh, we forgot the break today. Did we need break? Oh, those 2 people who wanted a break are absent. Okay. So please write. two approaches. Number one, normative approach. Here also normative and empirical. Normative approach. Normative approach. Please write. Political theory is a body of knowledge. Political theory is a body of knowledge aimed at prescribing ideal political structures and guiding political action. Based on what? It's a normative idea, so it's based on moral values or set standards based on moral values. Okay. Again, the keyword is what ought to be. That's a keyword. Just below this, write thinkers. Plato, Aristotle, Locke, John Locke, Gandhi, Rawls, etc. Okay, two keywords are important: political structures, political action. Please mention. Next subheading, political structure. So what do you mean by political structure? What are these? Oh, forget, what do you mean? Examples. Give me examples. Political structure. What all things are political structure?
Hierarchy of the government.
Okay, government political structure. What else? What is the first aspect of political structure? The most important thing. The biggest example of political structure. The setup which runs the country. Constitution. That's the best example of a standard political structure. Constitution. Then what else? Organs of state. Legislature, judiciary, executive, all these are all examples of political structure. Okay, please write political structure. It refers to organized framework. Through which power, authority and governance are exercised in a society. Second point, right? It includes institutions. Processes and arrangements which define and write some points. which define who rules, which define who rules. Second one, how decisions are made, how decisions are made. Next, who gets what, when and how. Who gets what, when and how. I think I had mentioned this statement yesterday also. Harold Laswell, politics is the art of getting what, when and how. Actually, this fellow wrote a book in 1936, and that book's title is the same, Politics, Who Gets What, When and How. Okay, so that's where the statement has come from. Though it's not officially a statement, but the title of his book. So in the bracket, the third one you mention, Harold Laswell's book, dash politics, colon, who gets what, when and how. Not a new book, old book, 1936. So okay, I'll come to this line again. When I say what, when and how, what does it mean? But for now, just write the examples of political structures. Next, write examples of political structures. Examples of political structures. Tell me. Examples quickly. Constitution. Then organs of state. So we'll write like this: executive, then judiciary, then legislature. Then we also have processes being included. Federalism. Okay. Yes, election system. Federalism, or right, electoral process or system. Even things like political parties, pressure groups. Etc. All part of political structure. So please go through your definition once again. What does it say? It is aimed at, read the statement, aimed at providing what? Prescribing. Ideal political structure. The definition of political theory. Normative approach. The first statement. Political theory is a body of knowledge. Aimed at doing what? Prescribing ideal political structures. The ideal federal structure, ideal electoral system or process, ideal political parties, ideal fundamental law. Right? And then we are guiding what? Political action. So which also means that what is meant by political action. But before that, one more thing. We discussed that political structures talk about institutions. They talk about what else? Processes. They talk about arrangements. Please read 3 words mentioned. Underline those 3 words firstly. They include, I think the second line was, they include institutions, underline, processes, underline, and arrangements that define who gets what, when, how, etc. So here please write, now below this write, institutions refer to formal structures. Institutions refer to formal structures that perform key functions. Okay, in bracket parliament, government, etc. Parliament, government, etc. Second one, processes. Processes include political activities and procedures. Political activities and procedures like elections. Elections, policy implementation. Lobbying, etc. In our country, lobbying is not seen as a very noble activity, but in USA it is legalized. Okay. For example, recently one right-wing activist was shot down, right? And suddenly Mr. Kirk became popular in India because he was a right-winger, right? And talking about, yes, I mean, you will see him sometimes in his shorts and videos on how he would debate, etc. So, see, the idea with respect to, as I mentioned, lobbying, he was shot, and he had also at certain times advocated that no, we should have gun rights, no problem, right to bear arms, Second Amendment in USA. And there is a lobby called National Rifle Association in USA. It's a group. Of course, the group comprising of all these companies which manufacture weapons. Okay. And if you ban guns and private ownership of guns, how will these companies sell weapons? To whom will they sell weapons? I mean, soldiers can only consume a limited amount of weapons, right? America is finding it difficult to start new wars because their president wants peace prize. So they are now trying to stop wars. So companies are facing a problem. So the best thing is give guns to your own people. And then if people are saying, no, you ban guns, Second Amendment is useless. Second Amendment actually refers to the fundamental right to bear arms in USA. Okay, that is what it refers to. Right to bear weapons. In USA, they have a right. They can purchase semi-automatic rifles also. Semi-automatic rifles. To protect themselves. Why? Against whom? The idea, if you feel that the logic is to protect them against some criminals and all, no. To protect themselves against the state. That was the original idea. That what if state becomes dictatorial in future? People should have weapons so that they can defend themselves against the state. US state. 18th century, possible. Now it's not possible. You have a shotgun. US state has missile. There is no comparison. So right now, primarily guns are being used as a weapon for self-defense, etc. But you know very well, in most cases, guns are used against themselves only. Or maybe if you have a gun in your house, your kid is getting bullied in school, he goes crazy one day, takes the gun, shoots everybody in the school. Right? So we have active lobbies like Rifle Association, which is a group of all such companies which lobbies to ensure that the senators, the politicians, they do not make any laws against guns or banning weapons. That's the idea. You have tobacco lobbies. Okay. Tobacco lobbies keep on lobbying for various things and aspects on importance of tobacco, how it makes you look cool, etc., cigarette smoking. Look at our country only. I mean, our country direct lobbying is not allowed and it's not possible and it is seen in very bad light, but in US it is all allowed. So actively lobbying happens, people will go give a presentation, PowerPoint presentation, etc., to the government there, showcasing the benefits of smoking also. Right? Benefits also can be shown of smoking. And that's how statistics are. Data can be used or misused. So yes, that's again a way in which functions or political theories work. Okay, that's also a part and parcel of our structure. So first one was what? The first word that we mentioned was institutions. Second was processes. And third one is what? Arrangements. Please write arrangements. Arrangements refer to structural designs and systems. Arrangements refer to structural designs and systems that define power sharing, that define power sharing. Full stop. Example, federalism. So federalism is an arrangement. Federalism, comma, first past the post. First past the post, comma, party system, etc. What is first past the post, since we have people who are not aware of this? Haji, what is first past the post? Yes sir, you tell me. No idea. Don't feel shy, it's okay, small group only. First past the post, no idea. More than 50? More votes or more than 50?
More than 50.
More than the next competitor. More than highest. Highest should be more than 50 or not? No. More than 50 means absolute majority. First past the post simply means whoever gets the highest votes is declared the winner. A very simple example to understand this is, there are 4 people, A, B, C, D. There are 100 voters. A gets 24 votes, B gets 25 votes, C gets 25 votes, D gets 26 votes. Who gets more than 50% votes? No one. Who is the winner? D is the winner. First past the post. Simple. Okay. That's a system, an arrangement for understanding. Of course, it's a very simple arrangement in a country, but that's how it runs. That is why you see in your state, in Andhra Pradesh, you saw a difference this time. I think YSR got 39% votes and TDP getting 45%. 5% difference. Look at the seats. 11 seats I think and 135 seats for TDP. Why? First past the post. Last time also same thing had happened. Right? 49-50% votes for YSR and 39-40% for TDP. And seat difference was immense. Okay. So yes, first past the post. Arrangement. That's how these arrangements take place. Okay. Coming back to the last, since we have just few minutes left, I would again want you to help me understand Harold Aswell's statement, who gets what, when and how. What is the meaning of who gets what? Who is who here? Who? Forget what. Who? Who gets what, when and how? Who is who here? Okay. Government. Who can be government? What else? Who can be leaders? Who can be political parties? Who can be people, media? Who? Government, civil servant, political parties, media, even our lobbyists who we were discussing about. Who gets what?
Power and authority.
Power, authority. When? Who gets what, when and how. So let's say, because who gets what will also include things like subsidies, education, right? Easier way to understand when would be, think of education, think of say jobs, subsidies. When?
Criteria.
So when will again depend on criteria. If
Eligibility.
I have the government or minister of my caste, then I will get jobs first. Yes or no? That's true actually. That is what the art of politics is. And that is why people want their people to be there at helm of affairs. So when is the timing factor. Who will get the services or benefits first? Who gets later or never? And how? Will it be through laws? Will it be through protest? Will it be through lobbying? What? Clear? That's the idea. The art of who gets what, when and how. As a bureaucrat, what do you get? Promotions, but when? Depending on your performance or how you can bribe your minister. That's how. And when? Of course, when the money has reached the account, the Swiss account of the minister, then you get the promotion. No, you get promotion based on performance. That's what you have to believe actually, right? Okay, let's end our discussion here only today. Tomorrow we'll continue from the same point. Actually, we'll be discussing on political action because that was left, guiding political action. Second phrase was left. So that is what we'll discuss tomorrow, and then moving on to the empirical approach, etc. Okay, that's all for me. Jai Hind.